Well, hello and welcome to the On It Not In It interview series podcast. I'm your host, Todd Eppert, and today I'm joined by Wade Clark, who is the co-founder of the Cleveland Video Company. Wade, thank you so much for joining us. Would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me on, Todd. I'm really excited to talk to everyone today. And just to give you a little background on myself, like Todd said, my name is Wade Clark. I'm a co-founder of the Cleveland Video Company. We've been in business for about 10 years now. And actually, me and the other guy who owns the company started in college. So it was just started through an entrepreneurship class in college, and then they kind of gave us a little funding money to get started. And then we just kept going, and we just kind of became the video guys on campus. And then later on, obviously, the video guys in our career. So it wasn't something I initially went to school to do, but then found a love for it and started doing it more and more.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, obviously we have a lot of entrepreneurs that join the show. Everybody has a different journey. Some of us, like me, as you can see my hair, we learn to be entrepreneurs later in life after we have like a longer career. Some people, come right out of college and they start their business, but you started yours in college, which is pretty awesome. And so it sounds like, was the spark really this entrepreneurial class? It was just almost like we have to do this assignment and it worked. And now we're still in business. Is that what happened?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, so we were both in this club called the American Marketing Club. And we had to make a video, ironically, just randomly kind of about organ donation. And I just remember me and my business partner, we weren't really even that good of friends at the time, although we were on the track team and cross country team together. But we just kind of stayed up all night making this video, had some fun with it. And then he actually got pushed into an entrepreneurship class. And it did become like an assignment. It was like, make a business, find a market that you want to get into. And then again, they basically said, hey, if anyone wants to stay here in Alliance, Ohio, we went to the University of Mount Union. We'll give you $2,500 if you work on your business. And at that point, we had made a couple videos and we were like, well, this is something we could maybe do and figure out. So, that was going into my junior year of college. And we just started, again, making videos on campus. We started actually working for the university and making videos, which was kind of cool. And just through networking and different connections, just started getting all these kind of random opportunities to again work on our business and kind of just figure out all the kinks of making videos.
Awesome. I love your story. It's fantastic. So pulled into it because of a college assignment, and it just has blossomed. And so the reason I love the story is just because, again, I think a lot of times, especially in the entrepreneurial world, I believe that every challenge in the world, the people that work for a living call it a problem. Entrepreneurs call it a challenge. And when they can solve the challenge, they birth a new business, right? And that's basically what you guys did, which is pretty awesome. So let me guess, you got a C on the class, right?
I don't remember what the grade was on the class, but I'm sure it was at least a C plus, if anything. So, but yeah, I think what you're saying with the challenges, it's correct. I mean, and again, it's sort of weird to think about 10 years ago, but 10 years ago in 2013, video wasn't nearly as popular as it was now. So we kind of accidentally set us up for a really good market now where everyone wants to make videos, everyone wants to live stream, everyone wants to make podcasts now. But back then it was kind of, we were just talking about this the other day. Back then it was, you might post the video to YouTube and that's it. And just, or on your website. And now it's, for a lot of our clients, it's, hey, how do we post it to Instagram? How do we post it to TikTok? How do we post it to YouTube, Facebook, website, all these places. So I think we got in at a good time where we could definitely learn and then now, kind of be experts at it.
Yeah, excellent. Bleeding edge of the industry. Very good.
Yeah,
So,
dumb
so
luck. It was just really dumb luck that we got out there. But again, we both love making videos, so it helps.
yeah, so appreciate learning all about the business and what you're doing. So let me take you a step back and detail of what you do. I want to talk more general things about the business. So just as a business owner, what are some misconceptions that you had going into it? Like you came out of college and you're like, hey, we're going to turn this into a real business. You probably had some preconceived notions of what it was going to look like. What surprised you about being a business owner?
Yeah, I would say what surprised me is it takes time, in my opinion, to have a successful business and work out all those kinks. I mean, we didn't have it all figured out, 2 years after I graduated college, and I had this business. I remember taking 9 months to just work on the business, and I don't even know what I did during the 9 months. I don't think I did anything. So I think one of the misconceptions too is just it does take time to learn how to run your business and run it effectively, and success doesn't happen overnight. I know we talked to a couple of people who have just started businesses in the last couple of years, and sometimes they get frustrated with maybe not having that fast success, or hey, why am I not making money yet, or I can't quit my job to do this. And it's like, hey, it takes time to, again, gain clients, get people's trust, and really come up with even just your quotes or what your costs are and everything like that. So I think that's just one of the main misconceptions, is it's not an overnight success most of the time. So,
Yeah.
and
So go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, and the last thing I was going to say is a misconception is, if you think you're going to have off days and own a business, it's just not really a reality most of the time. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur listening to this, you probably know this already, but you're thinking about your business 24/7. For good or bad, it's sometimes hard to shut that off and maybe go on a vacation or take a weekend off and stuff like that. But you really are thinking about it all the time and how it can be better.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So thanks for being honest. I love those points, right? So yeah, keep digging, right? You may have a great idea, you may have a passion, but until you really learn how to run your business, you may not make money at it, right? You may not have a
Right.
repeatable model at that point. So really good. So okay, so you mentioned earlier, it's you and your business partner, you've been in business now for 10 years. So congratulations on that. Fantastic. A lot
Yeah.
of
Thank you. Thank you.
not every business lasts 10 years, right? So 10 years in, you're probably facing some new challenges. So what are the challenges today that you could share with our listeners?
Yeah, I think the challenges of today are, for us personally, is just how to scale our business. In the video space, and really, I guess with a lot of businesses, it's how do you find good help that you can trust. In our case in particular, we film a lot of weddings, we do a lot of live streaming for conferences, we do, you know, corporate interviews, we do all sorts of video stuff. But it's really finding those people that one will show up on time and know what they're doing. So I think that's just one of the we have a couple people in our back pocket, and we are so thankful for them that they can come and help us and stuff like that. But to be fully honest, we don't have enough work for them to maybe say, hey, we can hire you full time and give you a salary and all that stuff, at least not yet. So I think in our case, it's just one of the challenges is how do we scale? How do we get a little bit bigger, and how do we maybe have two or three people under us that can go do jobs without us? Right now, our business is so reliant on me or my business partner being there, um, that sometimes it can, hold us down from doing other things.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Wade. And it's that is a common problem in the entrepreneur world, is the what I would call the owner dependency problem, right? It's
Yeah.
you know everything about the business, you know all of the customers firsthand, you know all the how to do everything in the business. And so when you're looking to hire, it's scary, right? It's difficult.
Yep.
And if you don't do it, you can't scale the business because you can't get past yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you said a good point there, just knowing your customers firsthand. You can have someone on our end that's the most technical person and can do the job maybe even better than us. But if they don't have that, customer facing side of it where they can interact with the customer, talk to them, maybe go, like a lot of our business too, is we go, that little extra step to help our customer, even if it's not something we talked about the day before or something, but now they're saying, hey, can we add this to the show last second? On in the spot or in the moment, we're going to say yes and make it work the best we can. But again, there are some people where they might go, no, that's not part of the contract or the agreement. And again, that doesn't apply to everyone's business. But one thing that we found has really helped us is just going that little teeny extra step to make the customer happy.
Excellent. Excellent. So, okay, so let's talk about, you mentioned earlier also that the reason you're in business is because, and I'm not going to call it luck, it was timing though, for sure, right? You took a class, you did a video on the early stages of everybody starting to really even starting to want to do video, but it was probably even before that. Now everybody wants to do it. And so the business landscape has changed. It's probably gotten a lot more competitive out there for you guys. There's probably a lot more people doing what you do. So how do you stay on top of that? How do you stay adaptable and open to change so that you stay relevant and remain innovative with your customers?
Yeah, I would say to any business owner, don't be scared to ask other people questions that are in your industry. You may see some people as competitors or direct competitors, but we have a good network in our video world, at least, of a couple people we can go to and ask questions. And they have their own businesses and they compete for the same work we do, but we all have this understanding that, hey, we're just trying to help each other. And to give an example, we work with another company where sometimes they help us with gigs, sometimes we help them with gigs, but they have like an office space and they have a couple employees. And that the person who owns that company has been very, very gracious with just sharing his knowledge of how he does that for us. If I just ask him a simple question, hey, how much does your office space cost? Like he'll share that information with me so that I can plan for the future. If like, hey, we want to maybe do this or get a space or do whatever, we can set ourselves up. Or we do have someone again on our end. He's kind of like our mentor where he's been doing this for 25, 30 years. And we're so grateful that we got to meet him about 7 years ago. And anytime we have a question, even if it could be about pricing or, what do you do in this kind of situation? He will always pick up the phone and give us his advice and say, hey, here's what I do. So I think, again, just how do we kind of, I guess, going back to your original question of how do we kind of face that business landscape is really just we do a lot of networking and try to just make those good connections with people so that again, if we need someone to come maybe help us with a job, they're there to help. Or hey, I'll come work one of your jobs and get paid a little less just to learn. Like I'm never against learning still, even 10 years into this. Um, I think it's just being open to learn.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, and so I'm sure there are people that you've talked to that are less open, and those
Yeah,
are the people that I would say are they have this threat mentality, like, oh, you're threatening my business, and yet you found other people that I would call more the blue ocean people that see that hey, there's tons of opportunity. I can help you out. If I help you out, we all get better together, and that's the kind of people you're talking about putting around you, right?
exactly, exactly. Like again, I think you said it best. If you can put the right people around you, then hopefully some doors and some opportunities will open for both of you. And again, we pass leads to those people because we like them and trust them, and they pass leads to us when we can't do good work. And we always, again, with our clients, and this is maybe a little more particular to like a service business that offers a service, but to our clients, they're so thankful for like, hey, we can't do your job because we're booked that day or whatever. It's like, but here's two people that we trust to do it right.
Yeah,
And then our clients like thank you for referring them. They were great. And they usually and like they always come back to us in the end and say, hey, you guys were here, we've been working with you for years. It was great using, this other company, but let's use you guys again. So yeah.
very good. So you just mentioned a few minutes ago, you mentioned the word future. So can you give us a glimpse into the future plans for your business and for yourself as an entrepreneur? What's next on your journey? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, this is always a tough question for me, I think, because it's hard to look into the future. But before this interview, I was thinking about it, and I think for us, it is going to that scalability of having, you know, 3 to 5 people underneath us that can go do jobs without us, and we can send out with kits to go do the jobs, and they can do a great job, and then we can scale the business that way, um, and hopefully that can happen in the next, let's say, 2 to 4 years is my goal, right? Because it does, being an entrepreneur does wane on the family life balance thing where you can only work so much. And I'm not going to say ignore your family, but like your family at some point needs you to be there and be supportive for them. So there's going to be a breaking point where, you can't work every day or you can't, kill yourself 5, 6 days a week, be gone for 12 hours a day. It's tough. So I think we're not there yet, but there are days where, I wish, hey, I wish I didn't have to work this weekend. I wish I could just send someone out there so I could stay home with my family. But yeah, I think for future that would be our main thing is just getting a couple more people in the video world on our team that we can send out there.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought that one up. So, like I mentioned, many people have different entry points into their entrepreneurial journey, and yours started very early, right in college. It wasn't a situation where you worked for 10 or 15 years, had a family, and then became an entrepreneur. So you're now having to figure out, well, now I've got a family, it sounds like. Maybe you're married, you got kids, and all of a sudden now, what used to be fairly fun and easy, I go to a wedding on the weekend and I take videos of people and it's cool. Now I'm away from my wife and kids and I don't like it as much and I got to work on this work life balance thing, right? That's what you're dealing with now, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we've actually kind of stepped a little bit back from the wedding world because that's what the weddings are. It's for someone doing high-end weddings in our industry, they're doing 30 to 40 weddings a year, which means you're doing 30 to 40 weekends a year where you're focused on a wedding. We probably do 5 to 8 weddings a year at most. And it's exactly that is me and my business partner want to be with our families. And luckily, again, we have a couple people who might be able to step in and help us. So we try to break it up if it gets a little crazy. But yeah, now I'm married. I have 2 kids. I can't be gone every weekend. And one thing that I try to do, at least for that family life balance, is I'll put days on my calendar where I basically will absolutely not work. I mean, unless the mega crazy client comes in with this crazy amount of money, sure, yeah, I'll probably work. But there are things you can do to just help make that balance. And for me, that's what I found best is just marking a weekend on my calendar, hopefully try to make it at least minimum once a month where it's like, I'm not working this weekend and I'm spending all the time with my family, and that's okay. And if a project comes in, it's, hey, I'll just pass it to the people that we were talking about earlier. And it's like, you just have to be okay with that and find that balance. Obviously, when you're starting a business, it's hard to maybe do that right away because you need the money, you need the clients. But when you get to a certain point, it's okay to say no to some things to have some family time.
Yeah, and I love that strategy. You're kind of like I would call that like block scheduling. Like you're literally
Yes.
putting a big block in your schedule that says no work. And that's okay, right? It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be I'm blocking in this, I'm blocking no, I'm blocking in time for me and my family. And that's okay. So I love that
Yeah. And
strategy to maintain work life.
again, not to harp on it anymore, but my dad is a huge classic car guy, has some Pontiac Trans Ams, and there's a Trans Am show actually in Dayton every year. It's only 4 hours away from Cleveland, right? And the first couple years out of college, I missed it, because I was working, I was doing weddings, I was doing whatever. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, I just told my dad, I'm never gonna miss this show again. And I was like, I don't care what comes in. No one can pay me an amount of money to miss the show because I know there's maybe 10 more years of this show with him. Being a 62-year-old, he maybe has 10, 15 more years left to go to the show. So
Yep.
it's like I want to make sure that I'm at every show that he can go to for that particular weekend, and it's just blocked in my calendar.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I love that. Thanks for sharing that story about your dad. And
Yeah.
that's cool that you're focusing your time, even if it means you lose a job or you give a job away to somebody else, because it'll come back, right? That's good.
It comes back. Yeah, it always comes back. I know the one year it's like we had 5 weddings on that weekend, and I was just like, nope, nope, no. You're just people kept coming in August 28th, August 28th. I'm like, can't do it, can't do it. I just kept pushing them away, but it's okay. They all come back.
Yeah. Very good, very good. So you've been dropping a little bit, I would call it little bits of advice throughout the podcast, but is there any specific advice that you'd give to an aspiring entrepreneur, maybe someone that's just getting started and maybe dealing with some of those early challenges and not making money or maybe working too hard? Or what advice would you share with them at this point?
Yeah, I think I have two kind of pieces of advice. And again, I think these are more related to like the service industry where you offer a service to people. It might be, and maybe you could relate this to a product as well. But what really worked with us early on, and I'll tell a quick story, is, we did a lot of videos just for fun and free. And that actually led to two of our biggest clients now. And the one that's kind of the funny story that I like to tell is we were making videos about my friends were doing a 100-mile race and they wanted to like document it and stuff like that. So we were just making fun videos of them running and interviewing them and all this stuff. And my ex-girlfriend's mom reached out to me and was like, hey, we need videos at our company. And I was like, yeah, we'd love to help. And 8 years later, they're like one of our best clients. Like
That's
we've
great.
been working with them forever. And it was again one of those things where it's like we're making free videos over here, and then it led to something else. And then again, another story about making a 5K video, it's just fun and everything like that. And this lady comes to us, hey, we need a documentary. And I was like, we never made a documentary. I don't know how to do that. But yeah, we'll do it. And we make her one video, and then that leads to us going on trips to like Arizona and North Carolina. And again, they're one of our favorite clients to this day. And it led to so many more opportunities just doing those free things. Which again, you can't always do in every business, but in our case, it worked out. And I would just say if there's anyone or any business you want to work with or any company you want to work with, just reach out and see how you can help them. And maybe it's not at the price point that you want it to be at first, but it will get there over time once they start to trust you. The second piece of advice I'd have, and this is just so, it's silly to say, but it's so true. But just get an accountant to figure out your taxes and figure out all your stuff. And again, might seem so silly, but I was just talking to a good friend. I was at his church and we were just talking, catching up. And I was like, how's your business going? He said, it's going great, but I need a lesson in QuickBooks. I don't know what I'm going to do this year with taxes and all this stuff. And I said, dude, you need an accountant. Like, I don't know how to do that stuff. We have an accountant. She's great. She's amazing. She gets all our stuff done. And again, it's those silly things where maybe when you first start a business and you're not making a ton of money, and then you get to year 2 or 3 and you're like, you know what? I want to start pulling some of this money out and taking it. It's like, how does that work tax wise? And how do you use that money for business expenses in the best way possible? Again, very silly tip, but like, it took me, I feel like 7 years to figure out like, oh, this is how taxes and stuff work.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a silly tip at all. I think bringing in the right advisors, the right expertise, it keeps you out of stepping in the bear trap, right? Making a big mistake and get a big tax bill, for instance, in that
Yeah,
specific example. But it also keeps you from spending time on something that you're probably not good at. Like you said, you're not good at
right.
accounting. You didn't go to school for that. You're not educated in it. You're not certified in it. Get somebody that knows what they're doing, right? And I actually love your first example that, kind of to get someone to say yes to something free, you still have to sell, right? You still have to get them convinced that you have a solution that they need. Now, it's a lot easier when it doesn't cost anything, but that free effort, it gives you content, it gives you practice, it gives you, stories that you can share with your future prospects. So I love that as an example of advice to give to somebody new.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I always tell people if I'm talking to a class, mostly for video stuff. But it's like, hey, if you love the donut shop down the street, go make them a video. They definitely need a video. Like their mom and pop shop, they don't have that. Like that's what we did. And then again, it gives you that practice, that content, teaches you how to sell and work with a client.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So Wade, hey, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It was an incredible podcast. Great learning about the Cleveland Video Company, what you guys have done in the last 10 years, really special. Congratulations again on building a thriving business 10 years in. So thanks again. We enjoyed meeting you and learning more about your business. And to everyone watching and listening, we look forward to having you on the next episode.
Yeah, thanks again, Todd.
Yeah, thanks, Wade.